Hello, and welcome back to the show. You already know the drill, so much has happened since we last spoke, so grab your coffee and get ready because we are jumping right into everything that went on in Hollywood over the past 2 weeks. Here's what you missed. It's mostly great news in Hollywood relationships over the past few weeks. So for starters, Macaulay Culkin and Brenda Song are officially engaged. And you might be thinking that they already were because they've been together for ages and welcomed their first child, a son named Dakota, last April. But nope, their son is now 9 months old and named after his late sister. And they've been together for 4 years after having met on the set of Changeland. As for the ring, it's massive, it's classic, it's beautiful, exactly what you'd expect after the time that they've put in together. Also getting engaged is the star of To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Lana Condor. Last week, her longtime boyfriend, who was also in the industry, Anthony De La Torre, popped the question, and the really cool thing about this is that he actually worked with a Vietnamese female designer to make her ring. So I'm sure that that was really special because she obviously shares the same roots. Some additional news in relationships is that after 10 years together and 3 years engaged, Good Morning America's Hoda and Joel Schiffman have split. The two share 2 daughters, and I'm not going to say that this is sad news because it doesn't sound sad. I mean, their family isn't even necessarily splitting up. She says, it's not like something happened. They say sometimes relationships are meant to be there for a reason, or for a season, or for a lifetime. And I feel like ours was meant to be there for a season. They're going to remain partners, parents, and friends, they say. And given their public personalities, I believe it. And in a perfect transition from relationships to babies, after tons of rumors practically since they got together, Rihanna is officially confirmed that she and A$AP Rocky are expecting their first child together. At the time they decided to announce it and share photos, she was well along, so we can easily expect, to see a child in the next couple of months. They've been dating since November 2020, and their exes might just be spiraling. I'm joking. But Drake definitely has become a meme since the announcement. And since the announcement, they've made no comments about marriage or anything like that, but obviously having a child together is a huge step, binding them together for life. Also expecting their first child is Shia LaBeouf and Mia Goth. Mind you that this is all taking place while he's being sued by his ex, FKA Twigs. However, he and the model have been on and off since literally 2012, which is crazy, who even knew. They too are going to be bonded for life. It's definitely not your typical timeline. They got married and then divorced, and now they're expecting a child. But hey, often what's meant for you comes back. So congrats to the two of them. And finally, for baby news, Nick Cannon has just announced that he will be having his 8th child. And this news comes just 2 months after losing his youngest son to brain cancer. He announced the baby will be a boy, and the mother is going to be his current model girlfriend, Bree TC, who will also be the 5th woman to father his children. He's getting a lot of backlash over this because he just lost a child, but if we think about the timeline, he knew that she was expecting before his son passed away, and so he should be allowed to be happy. He's bringing a new life into this world. You can mourn and rejoice at the same time. Also, last week, we remember Kotb and Gianna Bryant. In honor of them and their passing being 2 years ago, a bronze statue was erected of them at the crash site. The bronze statue weighs 160 pounds and will not stay there long term, but is there temporarily to overlook the mountains and remember them. At the base of the statue, there are actually names of the other victims we lost in the crash, and this serves as a reminder of their lives and their accomplishments. Also last week, we lost former Miss USA, Cheslie Kryst, who unfortunately died by suicide. She was loved by many and described by CNN as an attorney and women's rights advocate who sought to help reform America's justice system, as well as a fashion blogger and entertainment news correspondent. And she was crowned Miss USA in 2019. Obviously, she was only on this earth for a short period of time, but she did leave a very large impact. Additionally, last week, charges were filed against 4 men who are suspected to be involved in the death of Michael Willams. You know him from massive shows like The Wire, and he recently passed away at age 54 due to a drug overdose. So The assumption is that these men were involved in the selling of the drugs, and the drugs were laced with fentanyl, which is what ended up killing him. So we'll have to see what their sentence comes to. However, someone dodging sentencing in the courts is Erika Jayne, who was just dismissed from the case against her ex-husband, Tom Brady. Initially, she was facing a multi-million-dollar payout and jail time, but for reasons unknown to the public, she was suddenly dismissed from the case. I'm definitely interested to know what they found out on her that got her out of this, but the journey is not over yet, because it's said that the case is going to reopen in California, and she'll likely have to go through all of this again. So I see more documentaries coming our way, people. Switching gears a little bit to talk about some music and TV news, my all-time female crush, Dakota Johnson, is apparently set to play in the new Marvel Spider-Man spin-off called Madam Web. This will make her the first ever female headlining hero in a Sony Marvel Cinematic Universe. Madam Web's role was Peter Parker's mentor, and we can expect this to absolutely blow up since Spider-Man just became one of the top grossing films of all time. I'm not a big superhero movie fan. I haven't seen most Marvel movies, but I'm totally gonna watch this. Also in show news, Dave Chappelle's Netflix show The Closer, which caused a huge backlash and sent him to the edge of being canceled, is now nominated for a PGA award. Dave's rep said, quote, "Dave stands by his art. Both sides of the street are talking about Dave, and Dave is listening. At some point, when everyone is open, I'm sure our communities will come together again," unquote. And it seems like the top producers in Hollywood agree with this, because though he's up against big names and there's no telling if he'll win, the nomination definitely is a statement in itself. But no one made a statement like Masked Singer judges Ken Jeong and Robin Thicke, who walked off the show when the season's singer was revealed as Rudy Giuliani. Now, this show has had backlash before when Sarah Palin was unmasked, but this was the first time on the show that a live protest has happened. Eventually, the two came back on stage and had a conversation with the, quote, singer, but Fox has refused to release a statement. And that's a great segue into the music news here. In a hilarious video with Travis Barker and MGK, the singers revealed that they just got tattoos for their upcoming album called Born with Horns. However, they decided to change the album title after getting the tattoos. So I guess no hard feelings, because what's one more tattoo to those guys? Honestly, it probably blends right in. And Taylor Swift is shooting back at Albarn, who said that she doesn't write her own music. Instead, he says she co-writes like Billie Eilish, but he criticized her for constantly being upbeat in her songwriting and music choices. In response, she said, quote, "I write all of my own songs. Your hot take is completely false and so damaging. You don't have to like my songs, but it's really fucked up to try and discredit my writing. Wow." Unquote. She said what she said, and that is that. Okay, guys, I have just a couple more headlines for this week. Obviously, in sports news, we all know Tom Brady is taking the heat and breaking hearts after he officially retired from the NFL. And Patrick Mahomes' fiance is getting backlash for spraying champagne all over fans in the cold. Not a great move, but I'm sure it was done without ill intent. And finally, ABC has suspended Whoopi Goldberg for her discussion on The View when she shared that she does not believe the Holocaust was a race issue. They say, quote, "While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities," unquote. At this time, the suspension is only for 2 weeks, but let's just see what happens from here. That's it for this week's headlines. Don't forget you can read more details on each by clicking the link in my show notes. If you see any headlines you want covered or have thoughts on this week's, DM me on Instagram at MeganTheMorningPodcast, and I will be back next week to catch you up on the latest pop culture news.